Hi.
Hi, Danny. How are you?
Good. Come on in.
Oh, I love this photo. Did your husband ever get to see you compete?
He did actually. We met in the January of 2016 and only a couple of months later he booked his flights and his tickets to come see me compete in Rio, and I guess the rest is history.
What a story. And now you've got two beautiful boys?
We do. A 4-year-old and an 18-month-old. They keep us pretty busy. Would you like a coffee?
Yes, please. I'd love one. Do you mind if I ask you some quick fire questions while you make the coffee? Is coffee the go-to drink for you?
With two small humans, yes.
Favourite thing to do in Brisbane?
Walk along South Bank with my kids in their bags.
Lovely. What about favourite holiday spot in Australia? Thank you.
Hands down, Noosa. Shall we go sit down?
Can I take a look at these medals?
Sure.
They're really cool. How old were you when you first started competing?
I was 11 years old. My dance teacher actually suggested that I try rhythmic because I had quite a lot of natural flexibility. So my mum took me to my first class and I knew that was the place for me.
And did you ever compete or train overseas?
I did. My sport is very Eastern European dominated, so I spent a lot of time traveling overseas when I was younger. I think I've been to about 38 countries and majority of those were before I turned 18.
What was the coolest thing about traveling at such a young age?
Definitely traveling with my teammates. It's like going on school camp for 6 weeks without your parents.
And what about your favourite country that you visited?
Ooh, Egypt.
What about the coolest thing you saw?
Pyramids in Egypt, can't beat it.
Of course. Should we sit down?
Sure.
What did your training schedule look like when you were competing at the highest level?
So I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I would go to strength and conditioning training before heading over to the gymnastics hall for a couple of hours of training. I'd be having work or uni depending on the day, and then heading back to the gym in the afternoon for a couple of hours of training.
You must have met lots of iconic athletes in your career. When were you the most starstruck?
Definitely standing next to Simone Biles on the bus back from the closing ceremony in Rio.
Oh my God, did you say hello?
Goodness no.
What's the proudest moment in your career?
I think definitely competing at Rio, finishing my final routine and seeing my parents standing, cheering and celebrating with me in the crowd.
What about the hardest moment?
Hardest moment was probably 2018 Commonwealth Games. It was my final competition and I knew that I wanted to retire after that event, and unfortunately I let the pressure get to me and I didn't perform the way that I had hoped and trained and dreamed of. So that was really hard to finish on a note like that.
What's the best part about retiring?
Eating all the chocolate I want.
Can I ask what your favourite type of chocolate is?
Very basic milk chocolate, no frills. Shall we go outside?
Let's do it. Wow, this is a really beautiful space.
Thank you. Me and my kids love playing out here together.
Have they ever shown any interest in the Olympics?
They have. Me and my eldest watched Paris together, which was super cool.
What sport do you think he'd compete in if he could choose?
I can see him on the 10-metre platform diving.
Shall we go back inside?
Sure.
Oh wow, these are beautiful. Can we take a look?
Sure.
All right, tell us which one's your favourite.
I love all of them, but I think my favourite would have to be my tiger. I wore this one at the Gold Coast 2018 Com Games.
Tell me more.
So first of all, me and my coach select my music and then we choreograph the routine. I will send that piece of music across to the leotard designer, and this one came from Italy. And she'll listen to the piece of music, and this is what she came up with for my Jungle Book inspired piece of music.
What was your favourite track to perform to?
A little bit more modern, but it would have to be my 2016 Rio ribbon routine, and that was Americano by Lady Gaga. A little bit sassy.
What's your favourite to perform with, ribbon or clubs?
If I had to pick, I think clubs, definitely. I love the complexities that it brings with having 2 pieces of apparatus instead of 1.
Danni, you've had an incredible career and now we are so grateful that you're here with us. How have you done it?
I always knew that I wanted to give back to the Olympic and Paralympic movement and contribute in some small way after all of the amazing things that it's given me throughout my career. And then Brisbane was announced as a host city in 2021, and I had written down in a notebook that I wanted to work for the Organising Committee, and a few years later and a lot of hard work later, I managed to get there.
We're so glad that you're here with us, Danni. I think we're almost at 32 questions, but I've got one more for you. What advice would you give to young athletes?
I think particularly for young athletes, it's not about the medals that you're winning today, but the ones that you're going to win in 10 years' time that matter. So trust the process and most importantly, listen to your coaches.
Fantastic advice. Thank you so much for having us, Danni.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh wait, Danni, can I get the mic?
Oh, sure.
Thank you, bye.